Hello everyone, and welcome to our wine tasting to launch the inaugural Connolly's wine subscription case. What we have done effectively is to put together a mixed case of 6 wines, all new to the Connolly's range, which we think offer something really a little bit different. Terrific value for money. We're going to taste them now and give our own verdict. And then, should you want to partake yourself, we're offering delivery locally of a mixed case of 6 for a ridiculous £79.95, which is there or thereabouts a 20% discount off the retail price. And we hope you're going to enjoy them. So, without further ado, let's cut to the chase and taste some wine. So I'm Chris Connolly. I'm here with my daughter Abby, who is the manager of Arch 13 Bar, and Ed, who many of you will know as the manager of our Birmingham store. And we're going to taste through these wines together, and we'll give our independent verdicts. So if we can have the first one, Ab, that'd be wonderful. The first wine, it's a white Beaujolais. You're probably more familiar with red Beaujolais, made from the Gamay grape, but this is, it's clearly white. It's made from Chardonnay, and it's produced by a very, very long-standing Burgundy producer, Louis Jadot, from their property Chateau de Jacques.
We've worked with Louis Jadot before, but never on a permanent basis would be the way to call it.
No, that's fair comment.
They're in terms of company wines, they about 1860-ish they're established. They were family run, but then everyone died out, so they're now owned by some Americans. But they do have some spectacular estates, and they do know what they're doing really quite well.
There's a lovely sort of clean freshness on the nose.
It's really, really bright.
Yeah,
really vibrant.
Yeah. I really like that. It's got a lovely minerality on the finish, but it's that sort of mid-palate texture that I think really comes through. Really clean, no oak aging at all, no oak treatment, just this lovely sort of freshness of fruit.
Yeah, the acidity is really well balanced in there as well. Really, really well balanced. It's not too clawing at you or anything. It's really. I tell you what, I could have a couple of bottles of that on a summer's day.
I think you could, if you serve that up with a nice piece of white fish or something like that, some salad, that it's just, yeah, heaven. So wine number 2 is from northern Spain. It's from the Costa Verde. And so it's right up in Galicia. Right, sort of that area just effectively north of Portugal, and it's a Godello. Godello, which is a indigenous local grape variety, which produces gorgeously sort of fragrant styles of white, which Pagos del Galia is a vineyard owned by Virgin del Galia. And they are really focusing on local grape varieties, Godello and Mencia, and producing absolutely exhibition quality wines from them.
I love Godello, especially from Galicia. I don't think it's a grape that you see enough of. We used to have one in before, which was really good.
No, we have merrily drunk quite a lot of it. There's a wonderful bracing acidity, but it's not too aggressive. As we sit in something like 30 degrees sun, it's the right wine.
I mean, it's not a bad way to spend the morning, is it, really?
Oh, that is really lovely. As you say, Ed, it has got a abrasive acidity, but
it doesn't go for your teeth.
It's very much in balance.
Yeah.
No, it leaves your teeth intact, but it just gives that lovely sort of mouth-watering freshness on the finish. No, that's a really, really pretty style of wine.
It's a really good richness to it and complexity as well.
Yeah.
You could kind of expect Godello sometimes to be a bit linear, but actually this one's got a little bit of oomph behind it.
So the third of our whites is one of my favourite styles of wine. It's a Torrontés. which is native to Argentina. This is made by the Zuccardi family, specifically Sebastian Zuccardi, who these days is regarded as one of Argentina's superstar winemakers, making some seriously wonderful wines. Torrontés is a beautifully aromatic grape variety. It comes from Salta, which is one of the more northerly of Argentina's wine-producing areas. Grown at altitude, so you get a wide sort of variance of temperature between day and night, which allows much more sort of acidity to develop within the wines, within the grapes. And at some point, when you and I have more time, I'll tell you about the most terrifying flight of my life, which was flying from Salta to Buenos Aires a couple of years ago. But we don't have time for that. What we do have time for is comments from my team.
Well, I'm sure me and Ed could tell that story verbatim the amount of times we've heard it. So I love Torrontés. It's one of my favourite grape varieties.
It's possibly the only grape that was, well, indigenous / developed in the New World. I think it's Pais and Muscat of Alexandria, they reckon they're parents. And you end up with this. Frequently it makes wines that go quite pineapple-y. This is slightly less than the pineapple. It really has a depth to the fruit, but still has some kind of quite, well, a chunk of acidity, but it's not aggressive. It's just there to balance out the fruit. It just works.
Yeah.
It's really well
You should be
balanced.
drinking more of it. It works.
It's also, I think, a great value for money grape variety. I think you get so much more when you look for things like this on the shelves than you do when you look for things like Sauvignon Blanc or Gewurz. I mean, my brain, whenever you think about pairings, goes to cheese because of who I am as a person. But something like a really nice, kind of quite mild, not too intense brie would work really well with this one. Or a kind of mild, harder cheese like a Gouda, I really enjoy.
I was tending towards some kind of dressed salad, but it's got that wonderful stuff to go with quite a soft kind of fatty cheese, and maybe that's more because it's too hot to eat anything apart from salad.
Well, we are fortunate we're tasting it on a beautiful summer's day, and just the image of sort of sitting outside with a bottle and a salad and sunshine, it's kind of perfect, really. So, wine number 4 in the case. We are, never let it be said that Connolly's and Arch 13 are not bang on trend. This is Provence Rosé. It's a property that's owned by the Chipoutier family. Chipoutier, who have their origins in the Rhone Valley. But under Michel Chipoutier, they have really spread their wings. They now have vineyard holdings in Australia, elsewhere in France, in Germany. But this is a property they bought relatively recently. It's very much rosé focused. They do produce a little bit of white and a little bit of red as well, but it's predominantly rosé focused. Comes in a very sexy bottle, and is, I mean, I love Provence Rosé. I have done for years and years, even before it was fashionable. So you get that, a lovely sort of red fruit character coming through, but there's also this bone dry finish and the minerality coming through as well.
You've always been a trend setter, haven't you, Simon?
I tell you what. My hairstyle is a tribute to Jack Grealish.
I love Provence Rosé. I used to live down in Provence, which I will tell anyone that this is much like my father's aeroplane story. And I drank a lot of Provençal Rosé while I was down there. But sometimes too much, but...
No, that's really nice. You do get that, as I say, that gorgeous sort of strawberry fruit. But yeah, not a hint of sweetness essentially. It's a lovely sort of bone dry finish, and sort of crisp acidity, but just yeah,
Leaves your mouth feeling cooler than it did when it started. It works and drier. It's lovely, and we are in Provençal Rosé weather.
Yeah. but it's just, and again, it just sort of keeps on evolving. It kind of draws you in. Really pretty style of wine.
It's one of the wine trends that I really, really agree with. I couldn't get on board with New Zealand Sauvignon or Pinot Grigio when they came around, but actually Provençal Rosé, when it's done well, it's so good.
Just don't like the people at the top who.
Well,
It's
let's not get into
it is more traditional and more lovely for it. And yes, you do drink numerous amounts of it, and then possibly look at the bottles and wonder, can you buy a vase in that shape?
So the first of our reds is interesting from McLaren Vale. It's from the Robert Oakley stable. It's their Hancock and Hancock. I should stress no relation or connection with the former health secretary. But it's a Tempranillo. So Tempranillo, you're probably much more familiar with from Spain, but it's now being grown essentially all across the world, and produces lovely sort of deeply coloured, rich, vibrant styles of red. That's gorgeous sort of sweet berry fruit on the nose.
It's really dark cherried, a little bit of spice on the nose as well.
And there's so much fruit on the nose. It's not massively Rioja-ish. There is smooth. There's a touch of kind of smooth smoke on the palate, but it's not crammed with vanilla.
No, it's not
Very much more the Aussie style.
Exactly, it's not an Austrian answer to Rioja. It is McLaren Vale Tempranillo.
It's not an Austrian answer because it's from Australia.
Even that. Easy mistake to make.
It has got like that kind of slight tobacco edge to it.
Very Moorish. It's heftier, but doesn't feel kind of typical Australian brick in your face.
It's not massive. It's quite soft. Although I suspect I'm going to be proved wrong, but it doesn't taste. I mean, the alcohol doesn't come across too strongly.
14%.
Yeah. But it's certainly not overwhelming.
It's not a breakfast wine, but it's.
Which is a bit of a shame, as it is kind of breakfast time. But, begs the question: what is a breakfast wine?
I think it depends what you're intending to do after breakfast.
Yeah.
If you're drinking wine for breakfast, probably not a lot, generally.
Finally, we have a Carmenere from Chile, from Aconcagua Valley, made by
Easy for you to say.
Errázuriz, who have been producing wine in Chile since the latter part of the 19th century. Very much one of the forerunners, and these days one of the most significant producers in Chile, with a broad range, broad spectrum of wines. But this is very much from the top of their tree. And Carmenere, which I don't need to bore you with for a long time, is mistaken as Merlot in Chile, but is very much its own variety and produces, again, quite dark fruited, spicy styles of red.
That's got an interesting nose.
There's so much leafiness on the nose.
Yeah, it's really stemmy.
More
Super green.
What kind of Cab Franc? But it's
Yeah, it does have a.
It does go quite dark chocolatey on the palate, but not over. It's really good Carmen, yeah.
Yeah, it's got a crunchiness though to it. Really crunchy.
That is quite a big style of wine, really.
I'd say that's definitely not breakfast wine.
No.
Everything's breakfast wine if you put your mind to it, Ed.
Yeah, I mean that is something which needs a big mouthful of protein, some sort of steak or something like that, or probably, as my daughter will tell me, cheese.
More cheese. Yeah, nice blue cheese.
Yeah.
Big blue cheese. It's super savoury though.
Yeah.
Really savoury.
Oh, I'm thinking of some beef stew pie concoction. It's got oomph to it.
A pie but with pastry on the sides and on the top.
Yeah, not a well, a casserole, not a casserole with a lid.
I think it's fair to say probably, and you know, tasting this on a very warm July morning, I would suggest if you were to invest in this case, and why wouldn't you, frankly, tuck this one away and save it for an autumnal evening.
Save it till November, yes. It's only 13.5%. It's lighter in alcohol than the previous one, but there's so much more body to it.
Yeah, it's...
I think it's flashing at 12 months in oak, and you do notice it. It's a big boy. Yep.
Yeah, 30 degrees outside and 35 degrees in under the archway. It's not the ideal wine, but it's really good.
It is, yeah. And as I say, on a sort of bleak, foggy November evening, then I think it'll go down the tree with Ed's beef stew.
Pie combination, yeah. All the scotch.
Well, that's us done for this month. We've had a fantastic morning. Really interesting range of wines. Every one a coconut, so to speak. So we hope you've enjoyed the tasting. We hope that you'll enjoy the wines. And we'll look forward to seeing you next month. So, cheers.
Thank you.